What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Bugs' DCS Cruise. For this one, we're going to take a look at the Virpil Controls configuration software, or the VPC configuration software. Yeah, honestly, it's pretty straightforward to use. I've been using it for about a year and 3 months now, and I still do use it every day. As you guys know, I do run the Virpil Warbird D. I will have a full review and a teardown of that joystick base coming soon, but we did the Moza cockpit software last night, so we're going to do the Virpil control software for this one. So as you guys recalled me saying in there, it's pretty straightforward and simple to use, and I'm going to show you guys that right here. So we're up in our main menu right now. So what I'm going to do is we're going to swap grips from the Thrustmaster over to the Virpil grip, and you guys can see how that process works and the steps that you have to go through to do that. It's pretty straightforward, it's pretty simple. It can be a little cumbersome at times, but that's just inherent to how the Virpil stuff is programmed and made, so it's totally fine. So let's start out. Right now I have the Thrustmaster grip on the Warbird base. So as you guys know, I do now use this as a side stick for the F-16 mainly, and then the F-22 when I do feel like flying that. So our profile is set for the Warthog and the Hornet grip. So the nice thing about that is if you guys have either or, it's set for both. So just make sure you have your stick base selected, whatever grip you have. This is the control panel. We're going to touch on this in a little bit. So let's just go into our axis and we'll calibrate really quick. So you guys can see nothing is going on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop this. Let's restart it. Because I did have to plug the joystick base back in really quick. So, okay, here we go. So our profile is still loaded. Let's go to our axis. Let's go to calibrate. And there's still nothing. I don't know why. All right, let's try and reload the profile really quick if it lets us. There we go. All right, let's go to our profile. Let's go import. So you guys can make your own profiles here. So we're going to go to the Thrustmaster. Let's open that. Do we want to apply it? Okay. Let it do its thing. Do not touch anything while it's doing this. You'll hear the disconnect and then the reconnect. Now it's back up over here. So when we come here, hit the save VPC device. You're going to get that EEPROM writing again. Let it do its thing. You'll get the disconnect and then the reconnect. Okay, now the profile is loaded. So now if we go into Axis, we should have something here now. So we have our X and our Y. So this is the Thrustmaster, the Warthog Viper grip. So I will show you something different with the VFX grip shortly. So let's go into Calibrate Axis. Now you guys can see these are bouncing around in red. We don't want that. So just move the joystick forward, aft, left, right, just move it in a circle, whatever, and then return it back to center. And now you guys can see it's stabilized out. Now we're set to go. So hit save calibration to profile. and now we're set to a 50-50 value on our X and our Y axis. So now this thing is pretty much ready to go fly. You will have to do that anytime you change a grip. You do not have to do that every time you restart the computer or the Virpil software. So just keep that in mind. So from here, what we could do is let's go to our button tab over here. Now we have a whole bingo board, quote unquote, full of numbers and whatnot. So if you hit any one of the buttons on the joystick, so I'm going to hit the paddle switch, it just lit up. So that tells you that it's registering and that it works. So let's hit the trimmer hat switch. There's aft, forward. There is the mix between. There's starboard. There's port. There's another mix of port and starboard. So you guys can see it registers the 8-way stuff just as well with the Thrustmaster grip. There's our pickle button. And for the Viper grip on the side, on the right side of the stick, our nose wheel for the F-16. So the two-stage trigger on mine is broken. It does not work right now. So I only have a single stage for it. So there's one. And if I pull to the second, you guys can see nothing happens. So I should be getting an 8 and I believe a 0, 1. That should be the second stage, but we don't have it. But just go through and make sure your stuff is functioning the correct way. It's a nice way to be able to see that. And once you, from there, and you confirm everything's working, jump on into DCS or whatever flight sim you guys fly and have at it. From here, you're not going to be able to do much with anything that does not have any of the red, blue, green LEDs on it. So a lot of the Virpil, or a couple of the Virpil grips have the lighting on it. You can set that from here just as well. So that's pretty cool. So if you guys do have that, go in, play around with it, see what it does. The firmware tab is you can do the firmware update. I'm not going to hit that right now because if something does go wrong, that'll totally railroad this whole video idea, so we're not going to do that. So let's jump back into our profile tab for a second. So from here, what we can see is you have the stick base, the grip, and a panel. If we click here, we can see the various different Virpil bases that they offer between the Warbird D, the Mongoose, the Warbird, which is the older one, I believe. I'm running the Warbird D right now, and then you have the Rotor and the Rotor Plus. Those are the collective controls for flying helos, which the Rotor Plus will be coming very soon at some point to the sim pit. Make sure you guys have the notifications turned on so when that does end up happening, you guys know. And if you guys want to see an unboxing of it, maybe we can arrange for that. Other than that, we'll do a review on it, check it out, but more on that in the future. So I'm not going to change anything on that right now. Over here, you guys could set your different grips that you guys have. So you guys can see the flanker grip from Virpil, the Constellation Prime, the Constellation Alpha, the Delta, the Mongoose grips, the Warbird grip, the VFX F-14 grip. They have tons of different ones. And then we have here the Thrustmaster, the Cougar Viper F16, and the Warthog F18. So this is the one I use mainly, and it works perfectly fine. And then here are the helicopter collective controls. So we have the control for the KA-50, the UH-60, and then for the AH-64. So we're going to leave that alone for now. And then the panels here, you have the control panel 1, 2, and 3. This I'm not too sure about, the KA-50 panel. I have not seen that. I am going to take a look, but, and then the rudder pedals. So I don't have any of the control panels yet. I am going to be getting one of the control panel 1 setups at one point, so we'll see what happens with that when the time comes. So once you guys get all that set, if it's a brand new setup, you click create profile and then just follow the step-by-step directions. It will not steer you wrong. It'll load in. It's super simple. It took me all of maybe 5 minutes to get 3 profiles created and working the right way. Super simple. And then the other scary part is, okay, we have all these different profiles bugs. How do we come about changing them around? No worries. Honestly, it's very simple. It can be a little cumbersome if you're not used to it, like I said earlier, but I'm going to show you guys right now how easy this actually is. So I am taking the Thrustmaster grip off and I am putting the Tomcat grip on. I'm sure you guys can hear the disconnect and the reconnect. So that's the new grip going on. So now I have the F14 grip on here. So what we're going to do from here is import file, and wherever you guys saved the stick profiles, select the one that you're going to go for. So you guys can see I have the Warbird grip, the Thrustmaster grip, and the F14 grip. There's a long story behind this one. More on that at some point, but let's select our F14 grip, open. Now you see it just changed to this. Let's hit OK to apply it. I'm going to get the EEPROM read write again, let it do its thing. There's the disconnect and the reconnect. Okay. Now we hit the saved VPC device, the green one. Disconnect, reconnect. There we go. Now what we do, go back to Axis. Now you guys can see we have a couple of more little details added here. We have 2 more lines, a slider and a dial. So I'll show that to you guys in a second, along with the X and the Y, which is totally normal. So again, like I said, we're going to have to calibrate these before we jump back into DCS. Otherwise, you guys are going to have a very, very, very bad time trying to fly whatever aircraft you're going to. So let's hit calibrate axes. You see everything's bouncing all over the place in red. Nothing is set to go. So let's do the X and the Y first really quick. Again, just roll it around, forward, aft, left, and right, and then back to center. Now the other two, the dial and the slider. So for the VFX grip, or the Tomcat grip, the DLC thumb wheel and the paddle switch count as axes also. So if we hit the paddle switch, you guys can see the dial is moving. And now it's blue. So that's just actuating the paddle switch. So this is one of the cool things with the Virpil software as opposed to anything else. it actually recognizes it as such. The same thing with the DLC thumb wheel. So that's fully aft and that's full forward. Back to neutral. So we're all in the blue now. Save. There we go. Now we're all set to go fly. And now if we move the paddle switch, you guys can see it on the dial moving 0 to 100. So that's fully depressed and that's fully released. And then slider, full aft on the thumb wheel, neutral, full forward. Go to our button, and you guys can see it recognizes it as a button command as well. So you guys have the flexibility within the simulator to set as such. So here's our DLC aft, DLC full forward. Then there's the paddle switch depressed and released. The number 9, that's going to be the weapons select switch, the too close for missile switching to gun switch. So right now it's in the off position. There's gun, sidewinder, sparrow, and then the push for Phoenix. So you guys can see everything's working the right way. Here's our pickle button. There's our trimmer switch. You guys can see it moves around that way. And if you push on it, you have another button command, which is cool. The two-stage trigger and the nose wheel steering button. So very simple. You guys can see what works. If there's an issue with something, you guys will know. This doesn't have any LEDs on it, so this doesn't apply to it. This is more for the flanker grip or the Constellation Alpha or Alpha Prime grips, so not too worried about that. These guys down here are going to give you different programs that'll open up, and you guys could test and calibrate and whatnot from there. That's going to be a whole nother set of videos, so I'm not worried about that right now. It tells you the device PCBs down here, how much power it's actually using, and the different statuses of it when it's online configuration. From here, these different options, the light version, the pro version, the help menu, debug, and whatnot. So explore with those. If you guys download this from the Virpil website, it will give you the pro version, so just stick with that. Don't play around too much with that. But other than that, it really is straightforward and simple. So go in, play around with it. There are a couple of more settings in here that I haven't touched on. The only other one I'm going to touch really quick on is for the F14 grip, for the VFX grip. I noticed if you do not have it checked off, split by 32 buttons, it will give you a little bit of a hard time and certain things will not work. I found that out the hard way, so if that little hint does help, make sure that's selected. And then again, if you guys have a twist grip or not, I do not. I actually use the rudder pedal, so I have no need for the Z axis or the Z axis on the joystick. Check that off, and you can orient it whether it's left or right handed. So it does give you the option to do that. So it's a very flexible piece of software, and it will let you set up your flight control hardware exactly the way that you want it. If you guys have any questions, feel free, leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer or help you out. If it's something I'm not too sure of, I will be more than happy to look into it and research it and help you guys. Hop onto the Discord server for any further help if needed. Be happy to help you out. Jump on in for a flight. It'll be a good time. It always is. I hope you guys found this helpful. And again, full disclosure, I am not sponsored by Virpil. I bought all of my sim equipment that I use every day on my own. None of it was sent to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe for more. And until the next sortie, strap in, arm up the seat, and keep flying.